Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
What's that?
Our podcast.
We still do that?
We do.
Oh, man.
I know. We took a little breaky poo.
Man, it's been a long time.
I know.
You know,
it feels like a long time.
It has, and it's so weird that it feels like a long time because we had to take that week off for the one hurricane. We didn't take off for the second one. We just podcasted right through it.
That we did.
But that other week we did. We took a whole week off, and it didn't feel this weird.
I know.
I don't even know if I'm sorry, guys. I think it's over. I don't remember how to do this anymore. I gotta go.
So
I'll see you guys later.
Get back here.
All right.
Okay.
So we are back. By the time now, we are actually recording this a couple days before New Year's Eve.
However, we wanted to wish you all
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Because you won't be hearing this until 2023.
So, welcome to the new year, everyone. And a not so new podcast because we've been around for a while now.
Forever.
For like a year.
We are the very first podcast ever.
No.
We're not? Okay. That's fine.
This isn't even the first podcast that's been done in our house.
You're right. There was the other first podcast ever. That was done. No, it just felt weird to come back onto the mic.
Yeah.
I did actually just go on to a show, which was so much fun.
You did. I could hear you in here. You were having a blast.
So shout out to music to quarantine for with. You know what? No, I'm not doing them like that. I'm going over to my Twitter account. They're getting a proper shout out because they were super, super awesome. And I had such a good time. It was Music for the Quarantine Soul. And if you love music of any kind, go check that show out. You will not regret it. If any of the shows are half as entertaining and fun as the one I was just on, you're going to love it. It was a great show. And shout out to those guys.
Oh,
they deserve
good.
it.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I did. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but we have a listener story.
We do. We certainly do.
So we're going to start this one off in a normal fashion, but this is not going to be a normal episode.
It is not. This is a different episode just to kick off and take a look back.
We're supposed to tell them yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so this story comes out from Benjamin. I don't know if he wants to be called Benjamin. I always called him Ben. He introduced himself as Ben.
Oh.
It comes out from Ben. Says, Dear Booze Crew, sorry I haven't written in with a story for you, but I do have several from various parts of the country that I've lived in. In the summer of 9/11, my family moved from Mississippi to Georgia. I was in the 5th grade, and behind our house was a section of woods. I was always told in the beginning not to go there because we had literally just moved and didn't know what was back there. I didn't listen. One day, while walking in the woods, I came across this old rundown shack. The doors and windows were broken and the roof was falling in. I wanted to explore, so I did. And as I walked through the partially hanging front door, I remember the floor creaking. I didn't pay too much attention to it until I started hearing voices, which was weird because I was alone. I had checked my surroundings before I ventured into the woods, making sure my little brothers didn't follow me. And the voices kept coming.
They're coming.
Could be heard in my ear as I walked through the shack, possibly thinking some teenagers were, quote, doing it or smoking, but when I checked the rooms, no one was there. There was a window that slammed so hard the glass broke, and I ran out of the shack. Still there was no one there. And I could still hear,
"Shh, they're coming,"
being screamed in my ears as I tried to find the path that had taken me to this little weird shack in the middle of the woods. By the way, I went back, but we'll save some for later.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't do voices in the woods.
That's,
Especially in crack shacks.
Little crack shack off in the woods.
I feel like me and Ben had grown up together. We'd had fun because I used to explore quite a bit when I was a kid. And I remember we actually found an old abandoned school bus in the woods.
Oh, cool.
Not too far away from like places that you lived in Ocala with me.
Wow. Well,
Super creepy.
I definitely would not be wanting to hear voices in my ear
I don't think so.
while I was alone in the woods.
Yeah, I'd have to pass on that one. So,
no.
Ben, you're a brave soul, my man. Yeah, it seems very scary. But cool story. I can't wait to hear some more of it, though.
Yes, thank you so much, Ben. That
So,
was
Ben, you keep writing
intriguing.
them in. Maybe we'll just have a Ben Spooky Corner segment.
Yeah,
I don't know.
right?
Keep writing them, buddy.
Ben's spooky corner. I like it. I like it.
But anyways, as Megan kind of let out a little bit, this isn't going to be an average episode. You know, we spent so much time thinking guests and everything at the end of basically our first year that we wanted to thank everybody that listens, and we want to go back and like listen to some of our favorite things, and you know, maybe if we can pull out some listener stories from past shows. But I just thought it would be fun to do like a recap show of our entire first year. Now, we're not going to sit here for 3 hours or anything, but I thought we could go back and play some moments and kind of where we came from and the things that we've talked about over the years. And I don't know. I'm feeling very reminiscent.
Well, I like it. I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do you remember?
Freaking
Do you remember when that was going to be your little catchfreeze?
I know, and I just kind of got
You
away
dropped
from
the ball.
me.
You dropped the ball.
It got away from
You
me.
dropped the ball.
But I say absolutely all the time.
Yeah. Just put the freaking in there.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I remember going back to doing my other podcast thinking that we would do this podcast together.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had a very minuscule little setup. I had my little, audio box on the table with a microphone into the laptop, and I couldn't figure it out. And you just didn't want to do it.
I didn't.
But then one day you decided that we could do it. And that kind of brings us into, I want to play a little bit of our very first episode for maybe some of you who do remember, but maybe some of you who don't, because you hear how creamy smooth our voices sound now. Maybe it wasn't like that at one point in time.
It definitely wasn't.
So
I don't wanna.
we got to.
I don't wanna.
We got to. So let's
Okay.
hear a little bit from, this was Ghost Adventures. This is all the way back in December 27th of 2021.
Episode number 1.
Oh, it's going to be a rough one, guys.
I'd have to find it, but I remember reading this, and
I 100% believe that.
they were like, "Yo, we never thought he'd amount to anything, but we're not surprised that this is what he's doing." And now look at him. Now he's freaking super rich, and he has his museum, which I do want to go to the museum pretty bad. But I mean, I live in Florida, and I'd have to go all the way to Vegas,
Yeah.
and I got kids, so that's probably not going to happen. All right, so I'm going to start this off. This is Zach. I'm calling him Baggins. I always call him Baggins, so I am calling him Baggins.
Oh, go for it.
Zach Baggins shares 16 behind-the-scenes facts about the Ghost Adventures. For more than a decade, Ghost Adventures has been spooking up the airwaves of the Travel Channel. So that's where they started. It was the Travel Channel.
Okay.
Capturing groundbreaking proof of the paranormal. Now, this is underlined. On camera in different haunted destinations across the globe, and using the latest scientific gadgets and technology to obtain physical evidence of spirits. Now, I know you're a big buy-in. Me, I do, but he's so over the top about it.
Oh, absolutely. I think the approach
It's annoying.
to giving the evidence that can be captured
I
is
think a lot of it's played up.
big part. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't.
It's too much. As much paranormal stuff as we watch, he has the most outrageous
Oh, for sure.
of all of them.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Ugh.
He's nuts. I know the big joke that we always have is like, anybody feels anything, boom, he's on it. He's
Yep.
like, I feel it too. It's in my soul.
But like tenfold compared to what everyone else says they're feeling.
Dude, it's so bad. It's so
Crazy.
bad. All right, with the show's recent leap to the brand new stream.
So, yeah. You know, man, our show was a lot different back then, as you're going to hear from all the bleep bleeps.
The beep beep bleep beep
But-
beep beep.
You know, I remember way before we ever even recorded that episode, that was basically the kind of banter we would have watching the show, but we wouldn't stop watching it.
I know. Oh my gosh. Like, We have watched Ghost Adventures for so long, and we still to this day just talk trash while we watch it.
Dude, you can't help it. It's
like, is it just us?
no.
It can't be, right?
No. Because I have actually talked to people online, and none of them really have like the shining view of them either, so it's not just us.
But you can't not watch it. You can't not watch it.
It is very entertaining.
It is.
It is because it's so over the top. But, we ended up doing another episode on Ghost Adventures later on, where I'm not even sure what we decided on in that original episode. Did we even do an Is It Real?
I don't know.
That would be kind of fun to find out, wouldn't it?
Well, let's find out.
Maybe we can go back and find out whether or not we thought it was real in the beginning.
25 seasons. Okay, so it's right in between what both of us said.
That's a lot, man.
I know. It is a lot.
They haven't been around for 25 years.
And like some of them, have like 20 plus episodes per season.
Okay, so we're about at the 45-minute mark now.
Okay.
So I think we should get into like finalizing this. And I think that at the end of every episode, we should discuss whether or not we think they're real or not. Like, is it or are they legit?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to call it
Is it real?
I'm going to add a cool echo in there. But anyways, I've been watching these guys for a long time, since day one. I remember watching the original documentary on Sci-Fi or whatever it was called back then, and I loved it, and I was hooked for years. This followed me through drug addictions, getting clean, having children, getting married, getting divorced, getting married. It followed me through everything. Like, I loved it. I will watch this show if it's on for the next 30 years. It could be the worst on TV and I'll still watch it. I can't help it. I love Aaron and his reactions. I love how much
his faces.
Yeah, dude. Woo! I love all this that like he gets put through but still keeps coming back for. I really hope one day that Zach's like, I'm gonna go run my haunted museum, Nick's coming back, and then Nick, it's you and Aaron now.
Yay!
That'd be awesome.
That would be the
However, I think that within the last 5 years or so, I think it's all fake.
You
I
think
don't think any of it's real. I think if there's anything that they have caught that's real, it's by accident.
I would sort of agree with that. I think they now they press so much and push so much and prod so much whenever they go anywhere. I think that it can stir up quite a bit of stuff. Now, is everything they capture real? Has it always been? Probably not. But I don't know. I think over the years it has gotten worse.
I think in the beginning, they really believed in the beginning. I think they really were legit in the beginning.
Do you remember when we were flipping through YouTube and we found that weird game show thing where Zach Baggins was in it and there was
yes,
unlegit paranormal teams going out, and he ran it, and it was like he was into it, and he was like, show me the evidence that you've captured, and calling people out on doing this, that, and the other thing. And I think he really did believe.
I think he believes. I just don't think I don't think he believes in catching legit evidence anymore.
I think now it's so different from what it was in the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely way different.
And I do agree with you on what they capture now may be an accident. They're there and that happens.
I think once Zach made it, because let's face it, Zach made it. Okay, nobody else made it.
Yeah.
Zach made it. I'm sure everybody else gets paid a decent amount to be on the show, but Zach.
I can't believe that. First off, May I say that I don't think we've listened to these in quite a while.
We haven't, because the whole time we were listening, we muted our mics and we were just laughing.
Yeah, because we're not like clipping these in later. We're doing this in real time, so we can be. I don't know. Is it real on that one? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, okay, this is what it is now.
Is it real?
So, yeah, I don't.
We both were like, what?
Okay.
So we did do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the first episode was rough, but that was kind of our initiation into the podcast world.
Yeah.
And
I was
honestly, it was
so
fun.
nervous. I don't know why. We were just sitting in our living room with Ghost Adventures playing on the TV behind us, but I was so nervous to sit like through the whole episode. I think I got like a little more comfortable in the end, but I don't know. I just remember being really nervous.
You know, I get that. I do get that. It's a lot because you don't really think about it until you're sitting down. The potential for so many people to listen to you.
Right.
And I mean, in the beginning, there really wasn't a lot of people
There
listening
wasn't.
to us.
Maybe a handful or two
If that,
for the longest time.
it wasn't that long. As a matter of fact, that's what's coming up next. That's not true. Because unlike a lot of smaller podcasts, we have a kind of a breakthrough moment on this show.
We do.
And while it may not have driven us into superstardom or anything, it really was a massive
Turning point.
for our show.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, we somehow got a paranormal group that we really enjoyed watching.
Yes. Very much
to
so.
come on for an interview after we did an episode on them.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. So I actually want to play some of that episode, because this for us, I think this episode that we did really, I don't know if we'd still be around if we hadn't have done this one.
I think it made it more real and more, I don't know, just like I mean, yes, the numbers went up with it, but I think just like having them in front of us on a computer, like there's people we watch on TV, like
Exactly.
like we sit in our living rooms and we pick their shows and we watch them and we follow them, and just to sit there and have a conversation and like
It's having a well-known paranormal group amongst a sea of so many paranormal groups that was actually willing to come on.
Yeah.
And it's people that we believed in and we respected. And honestly, it
and
was
still
like,
believe in.
yeah, well, you know what I mean. And it was such a shot in the dark. I never thought that they would agree to come on.
Yeah, we did the show,
did.
and I think you just randomly reached out
I
on
did.
social media.
I think
and
I don't remember where. I think it was on Twitter.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I was brand new on Twitter.
But like,
I didn't even have any followers.
we were sitting there. I was so nervous. I was like sweating
I was
before we
nervous.
talked to them.
I was nervous
And then
too.
they were so cool.
They're still so
They're
nice.
So nice.
You know, they actually commented on one of our videos, because on the last episode that we did before the end of the year, we had kind of had a big thank you part at the end, and we, you know, gave a big thank you to them. And we weren't even sure if they still listened, but they actually commented on the video version of it on YouTube and said that they loved our show and that we were the best paranormal show.
They were basically like,
It was
"Yep,
awesome.
we're still here and we
It
listen."
was awesome. It
Oh
was
my God, I
such
know.
a good feeling.
Yes.
So
Thank you guys so much.
So let's hear a
So
little
we know
bit.
you still listen. Thank you.
So let's hear a little bit of that interview that we did with Paranormal Nightmare TV, Josh, Rocky, and Sean. We still super appreciate you guys, and thanks for helping us, you know, being a part of our journey.
And yeah, I don't know. I respect that in a way that I can't seem to find for other channels that just want it to be about themselves. So I'm going to fanboy out a little bit with you guys, because I'm a big fan of paranormal, but I'm a huge fan of you guys. You're probably my favorite, you know, paranormal group out there, just because of how you keep it real and you make it about the people, which is it's very respectable, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's been our whole goal.
It's awesome.
It shows. It shows.
Stay down to earth and let the people actually sit there and tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know? There's a lot of times, like during the interviews, we just concentrate on them telling their story, because it's so good. And, then you're sitting there and then it hits home, while you're sitting there during the interview, and then it takes you back to the haunting that we went through, when they're talking about certain things. It's,
Yeah.
And you understand what they're actually going through. So.
I think that's helped us over the years is, we're able to relate to the families as far as what they're going through and experiences because it's something that we went through. I remember back when we first started, Rocky didn't even want to be on camera. He kind of stayed behind the camera and you didn't see him for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in those earlier videos, yeah.
Yeah, the main thing with us was it was kind of our spiritual journey to figure out what happened and how it happened and does life after death exist? Because even though we experienced all this stuff, we were still skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Especially me.
That's me.
Yeah.
Hey, that's me.
That guy.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever, because I know back in the day there wasn't really much in the way of paranormal except for maybe, fictional television, but even, I know you were young, but did you ever have any thoughts about the paranormal before the Ouija board stuff happened?
we didn't.
No?
No.
We didn't even weren't into the paranormal or anything.
The scariest thing we watched was Scooby-Doo.
Hey,
Yeah.
this is my guy right here. I love Scooby-Doo. How do you guys deal with like a lot of the skepticism out there? Because there's a lot of it, and do you feel like people are just unwilling to accept what they actually see? But how do you combat that? Because I know the people are out there. There's a lot of skeptics out there.
I just think, for the most part, most people's got their own beliefs, and it is what it is. Whether you believe or you don't believe, I think normally down the road people will actually end up seeing, to the other side or what that actually awaits us. So, but that's their belief system. We just allow them to have it, and that's good.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff we put out there, it's basically to get people's feedback. We're not saying this is something paranormal. Yeah. This is what we documented.
Right.
You decide. And I think that's helped quite a bit, gaining that trust with the viewers over the years is keeping everything real, showing exactly what we're experiencing, and letting people decide for themselves.
Well, and there's a lot of people out there that's just scared to even tell their story.
Absolutely.
But when they say or watch our shows or other people's shows or listen to you like you all, then they'll come out and actually tell their story, which is pretty dang cool.
Yeah, it's just like, like most of these hauntings or whatever that people think, this ain't going to help out by airing it or blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
But that's how people actually open up to it. You've actually been able to see where, people ain't afraid, like back in the day, where they may take you and lock you up in a living bed.
Yeah.
To talk about ghosts or say that you're seeing, grandma or whatever, So there's a lot of people, that in the cases, they just want to know that they're not going crazy and insane, where people, they may not believe them because they are so, skeptic, but, until somebody sees it and believes it for themselves, everybody has a right to do that.
That's kind of how we've always ran our investigations is we're not there to...
So that was like a huge turning point for us right there.
It really was. And I remember after that came out, seeing a lot of comments on social media and on like Spreaker and stuff like that, that the people who watched them wanted to know more about how and what happened to them. And nobody had ever really heard it until our episode.
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I feel like it was. And I don't know, they were just so cool and so nice. Well, I don't know.
No, I agree. And, again, I just couldn't believe that they agreed to come on and speak to us. We really...
We didn't know what we were doing.
We didn't have a following of any kind.
I know.
So it just lends to the fact that they are just such really great guys that they were willing to take a shot on some people that nobody knew.
Yeah.
But thank you guys again. Maybe we could have you back on in the future. I think that would be great.
To do like a where they're at now and what they're doing.
That they're doing even better now. So
yeah,
their episodes are very interesting. You should definitely go watch them.
super great.
So
Absolutely check
I
them
think
out.
we should watch it after this. Not later on, but we had always had this idea of listener stories.
Yes.
And I believe that our friend Rick from Maximum Oddities was the first one to send one in. I'm pretty sure.
Was it the first one?
I'm pretty sure it was Rick.
I think it might have been.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was. And I think we should go back and we should take a listen to Rick's story. And honestly, this is still probably, if not my favorite, one of my favorite listener stories we have gotten, because this was a pretty incredible story.
Yes, absolutely it was.
And it was very well produced, Rick. Thank you. So let's listen to what Rick had to say.
We actually had somebody send us something in for the beginning of the podcast.
Oh my God, we got an email with
Man.
someone's
Spooky story.
ghostly story.
Spooky. It's spooky. It's super scary.
Super creepy.
But this one comes out from Rick Horn, who is Chuck Fluffernutter the Third. I had to think about that. I listened to it. I don't know why. Chuck Fluffernutter the 30 on the Piggly Dog Daily Specials. If you haven't listened to it, go check him out. But he also has a paranormal story that I have heard, and it is quite spooky and very scary. So,
I'm ready. Play it for me. I'm ready to hear
Oh my
it.
gosh. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. If it's late and you're listening to this, good luck sleeping tonight.
Oh man, it is late right now.
All right.
Okay, go.
Here we go, Rick. And take it away.
Hello there for the Booze crew. This is Rick here from the Piggly Dog, and I've got a story for y'all. I'm a delivery driver for a nameless company, but it is one of the big three. And I have an interesting story that happened to me. You know, when you're a delivery driver, weird things happen. And this day was no different than any other normal day. You're just out delivering packages, and then all of a sudden, you come to the stop. And when I pulled up to the stop, there was a double wide house, and I'd say probably 30 to 50 feet away, maybe even 100 feet away, it wasn't that far, is an 1800s era house. And I pulled up, I turned around, and I was looking for signs of life, people around, dogs, whatever. And get out with a package and decided to go to the double wide first to see if there's anybody home for delivery. Now, I went to the front door and the back door, and nobody answered the door. Didn't see anybody walking around. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go over to the other house. Maybe they're in the other house. So the first place I go is the downstairs root cellar that they had that's under the ground. And this is like an unfinished dirt basement kind of deal. So I yelled down in there because it looked like there was like a light on in there. And I was like, you know, hey, I have a package, and is there anybody here? And no answer. So I went about my business and went around to the back door from there, knocked, and nobody answered. And it was like one of those old crickety screen door kind of deals. And nobody was there. And it was like, okay, well, I'll go around to the front. So as I'm coming around to the front of the house, this 1800 era house, there's an African-American lady sitting in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth. And I was like, well, hey, I have a package for you. And she just stared at me, and I was, okay. The weird thing about this is she's in period era 1800s dress and was just sitting there rocking in the chair. So I set the package. I'm going to set the package down right here, and you have a nice day. And I set it down, and I walked away. And as I'm walking away, the owners of the house come out from the double wide and said, "Oh, did you have a package for us?" And I was like, "Yes." I set it up. I sat up front with the lady that's sitting in the rocking chair right now. In which they turned and looked at me, and they said, "There's nobody at that house at all." And I just kind of like chuckled because I thought they were joking, and got back in my truck and told them have a nice day, and I left. Well, this is about 2 months before the Travel Channel show Dead Files did a show at this house. So I'm going to let the host of the show tell you what the name of that show was, because I don't remember right now. And but it was crazy because it was just the details and everything just still blow my mind to this day, because if what they said was true from that show, then I talked to a full-bodied apparition ghost, and because that lady was not there or wasn't supposed to be there. So I'll let you decide. It still freaks me out to this day, but love the show for the booze. Keep it up, and we'll talk to you soon.
It's still one of my favorites.
Yep. Still just as creepy. Still just as creepy.
He tells it so well, too.
I know. And like the way he tells it, like it's still so vivid in his mind. Like seeing that woman sitting there in that chair, like.
Now, this story was almost like sent in almost like a year ago. And we've talked about this since
multiple
then.
times.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
There is, don't quote me on this, but there is it's either about this actual thing or just around the area. But if you go to Small Town Murders, they actually do an episode either about or right around this area, I think. I can't remember exactly, but it's in Virginia. Go check it out. It's Roanoke, I believe. So this is the era of when listener stories started to come in.
Oh, man. I love the listener
So
stories.
do I.
All of them. Every single one of them. I love it.
But we can't ever seem to get any.
I know. But I even enjoyed when our police officer friend,
Oh, Vic Ferrari.
thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
Oh, man.
And like,
Those were so good.
they're not ghost stories, but like,
But so good.
so good.
Author Vic Ferrari, retired New York City detective.
Yes.
Go check him out. He's on Twitter. That dude,
Super awesome.
he's the best storyteller.
Yes.
So good. Now, if I remember correctly, we thoroughly enjoyed, of course, interviewing Paranormal Nightmare, but there was an episode that had come after that we had talked about making since the beginning, and it was about the place in my hometown where I'm from in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Called Taunton State. And this is actually one of our most popular episodes.
It is one of my all-time favorite episodes we have done.
We're going to end up listening to 2 clips from this. We're going to play a little bit from kind of like the beginning of it, but then we're going to play something from the end of it.
All right.
So let's go back and listen to a little bit of Taunton State Hospital in Taunton, Massachusetts.
State Lunatic Hospital at Taunton. It was the second state asylum in Massachusetts. Most of the original parts of the facility were built in a unique and rare neoclassical way, designed by architects Boyden and Ball. It is also a Kirkbride plan hospital and is located on a large 154-acre farm along the Mill River. The complex was expanded at various times to include over 40 buildings and structures. Now, the main part of the hospital, known as the Kirkbride building, closed in 1975, and the buildings and the rest of the buildings kind of fell into despair. Now, in 1994, the property was added to the National Register of Historic Places as a historic district. In 1999, the main dome of the administration building collapsed, and in 2006, a large part of the historic complex was destroyed by a fire.
This was a big episode for me.
Yes,
Because
it was for you. For
I
sure.
have history with
Yep.
this place, like a very vivid history that I think maybe we should go and listen to the story that I told about Taunton State Hospital.
I love that story. You've told me that story for years since we met. And can I just add one random fact? It is really weird to listen to this without music in the background.
It is.
Like every time I'm like waiting for it to start and I'm like, okay, wait, no.
Well,
it's
we're
not
going to
there.
get into that too. This might be a little bit of a longer episode. I mean, we're just having a good time. But we're going to get into where a lot of the changes have happened over the last year with us. So
I'm excited.
let's take a listen at the story that kind of propelled me, honestly, into a lot of this paranormal stuff.
It's very hard to get in there.
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to tell a story.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
It's probably not going to be that long, but... So, all right. This is my story. Back around, like I said, it was late 2001, early 2002. I lived directly across the street from Taunton State. which at the time I didn't really think much about. I had seen this building many times. It wasn't a big deal. I do have to put a caveat in here and say that this was part of my partying days. So, I mean, I got to be straight up about that. But me and my cousins, we all lived there together in this little apartment. And we had a bunch of people over one night, and we were taking ecstasy. I'm just going to say it. But we were up super late. And I remember I was trying to confess my love to this girl, Gabby, that I had a super big crush on. And she basically crushed me and was like, bro, we're just going to be friends. And I was like, okay.
I win, Gabby.
But she left, and I was sitting there alone. And for some reason, I had this urge to go for a walk. And I walked straight onto Taunton State Hospital campus. As I walked there, it's hard to explain, but I just felt like something was telling me to go there.
Right.
And I was going straight for the glass corridor. That's where it was drawing me to. And I remember some of it's a little fuzzy in the beginning because I was a little messed up. But I remember getting closer and then sitting on the ground and then eventually laying on the ground. And then it was like I started to hear, which when you were reading one of those stories, I could relate because you could hear, at least I could. It sounded like I could hear the screams of people, but it didn't like alarm me for some reason.
Yeah.
And when I sat up, I looked right at the glass corridor. And now this is going to sound like probably the most stereotypical ghost story, but I saw a white lady, like in a white dress, floating. She was not walking. She was floating down the corridor. And I remember it was like, it happened so fast, but when I looked up at her, it was almost like she didn't stop, but it was almost like she stopped and she looked at me and then she turned her head and just kept going.
What?
And the next thing I remember is that my cousins came and pulled me off the ground.
Shut up.
Yeah. So it was
Ooh,
ever...
that gave me goosebumps.
So that's my account of Taunton State Hospital.
Oh, man.
And
I couldn't even.
I was so excited when we did that episode.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I had that story for like 20 years and I just couldn't wait to tell it.
I know I've told some of my ghostly happenings here and there in our episodes.
You did. You told a story from Texas.
Mm-hmm. And at your mom's house when I saw that lady walk down the hallway.
Yes, you did.
But it wasn't like a glowing white lady. It was like a person, like a straight up person just walking down, like somebody I've never seen. No one looks like that has ever been in your mom's house. Like,
creepy.
I don't know. So weird.
So creepy. Okay. So we did kind of like what got us here.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had a real turning point.
Well, that we did.
We decided that we were really going to take this show very seriously, and we splurged on a Rodecaster, microphones. We basically got an entire actual podcast setup.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
because
we did.
we knew we were going to do it. I mean, we're still doing it today. So you've kind of heard what the past recordings have sounded like, and then one day we just decided to get for real about it. We did an episode on one of my favorite locations, I think, you know, the from Ghost Hunters. You know, it made it very infamous, and we went there.
We did. That was a anniversary trip for the two of us. We went to the town, and we stayed in a super awesome hotel room for a couple days, and we went on the ghost tour. We had such a good time. It was so cool.
Yep.
Thoroughly enjoyed that.
I want
100% want to do it again. Yes.
Yep. We should try to make that happen before we move.
I know.
But anyways, so let's take a listen to the kind of like what we got to.
Okay.
It was. I still talk about it to this day because it was still one of the most incredible things I've seen anybody capture.
Yep.
Right. I still think up to this point, honestly, it might still be one of the best pieces of evidence ever caught.
Oh my God.
You know, they were never able to duplicate. They went back. I don't know if you
to
ever
try
knew this.
and do that again. Yeah.
They went back. It was after the original Ghost Hunters, and then when Grant took over, and then him and his Ghost Hunter team, they went back, and they didn't catch nearly as much stuff.
Right.
So I don't know. I wish there were more videos on this place.
I know.
I know it's kind of like back and forth for a lot of people. Some people are like, you know, it's not that haunted and blah blah blah, but the evidence stands for itself, especially on that episode. I mean, it is amazing.
And if anybody is interested in going to see that specific thing, it was Ghost Hunters season 2, episode 19.
Oh yeah, it was.
During their visit, the TAPS team were on the lookout for the ghost of a man who hung himself on the property and a mysterious little girl who was said to roam on stormy nights. They heard and saw the unexplainable during their visit, including a very, very prominent figure peeking over the railing of the infamous spiral staircase.
I'll never forget that.
Oh, it was so cool. I remember the night before we went to do our investigation, I had never seen that episode.
Yep.
We pulled it up and we sat there in our awesome little hotel room we got.
Yeah, Blue Jay Inn?
Jaybird Inn.
Jaybird Inn. There you go.
And we watched that and I was like, it gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, we're going here.
Because you didn't know what you were getting into.
I know.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And it was. I mean, this was a place that we had experiences at and everything. Like, we had personal experience. But we'll talk about all that at the end.
Yep.
But in tradition of the show, when people send in stories, we like to read them. And I think the last episode, I had read a story from a guy named John Taylor at Falcor. And he's actually sent in 2. So I'm going to go ahead and read the other one.
Part 2.
For this one. This is going to be a big episode. This might actually be a pretty long episode. So strap in, guys, because you're in for a ride.
So as time went on, we got more listener stories. Thank you, John Taylor. Man, I hope you're still out there listening. I hope you send in more stories one day. We really appreciated those. They were great.
Freaking-lutely.
And there she goes. Now she's got it. So we upped our audio game.
We did.
For the show.
We did. And that episode, I shared with you while we were listening to that. But that story that I wrote for that episode is probably, to date, one of my most favorite stories I ever wrote for the show.
It was a good one. That whole episode was really good.
Yeah, I think we do episodes and like sometimes we'll be done and we're like, okay, cool. But there's just times where we'll end the show and after we turn everything off, we just like look at each other and we're like, that was a good one.
And that was one of those.
That was probably one of our first that we were like, man.
Well, I think we had like amped ourselves up because we were like, well, we got this new equipment now.
Yeah.
We got to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And we did.
That's probably one of my all-time favorite episodes.
I think that was the one it was that one and Eastern State was the most research I had ever done.
Yeah.
They were longer episodes, but they were good ones.
Yeah. They really were.
Ones.
Really were.
Now, as time went on, we were able to get more paranormal groups to come on. We're going to listen to a little clip from both of them. But first on, we had RKB Paranormal. These guys are awesome. I still talk to them from time to time to this day.
Yes.
And you should definitely go check them out on their social medias. They are out there doing big things, and they are out doing more and more investigations to this day. So let's take a little clip from RKB.
Some of them advertise it.
Okay.
Say, hey, we allow investigations. It's X amount of dollars to do it for X amount of hours. Some of them allow it, but they don't advertise it because they don't want that, I guess, quote unquote, negative attention.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to message them, say, hey, I've heard you allow this. How much is it? How many hours can we be in there? So most of the places we've been advertise it. So you just send them a message or get on their website, pick the date you want, book it, and then there you go. We've had a few places actually reach out to us locally.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we've done, just a couple weekends ago, we did a community center. They reached out to us and said, hey, we got some stuff going on. We'd like you guys to come check it out.
Mm-hmm.
We did 3 places actually in our hometown of Dixon. And then there was another place that I'm drawing a blank on, I think reached out to us. I'm just drawing a blank right now. And we've had a few individuals reach out to us.
To like
we
do
haven't
home
100%
stuff.
decided to do like individual personal residences.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good thought.
We've done my grandmother's house, if that counts.
Yeah,
So,
of course it counts.
it does.
Hey, if you investigated, it counts.
Absolutely.
right. So, but yeah, to answer your main question, most places that we've been advertise it. If they don't advertise it, you just message them and they're like, yeah, we can do this. And
So like I said, go make sure you check those guys out. They are doing more and more. And they actually turned us on to Octagon Hall.
They did.
Which
They
was
absolutely did.
super cool.
We did a full episode on that, and that was a good one.
That was an interesting one.
That was super interesting with all like the battles and the fights, all the crazy stuff that went on there, and harboring of people, and I don't know. It was a really good one.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff in that one.
Yeah, there definitely was. But yeah, they were super cool, super great guys, and I don't know. I really enjoy the ones where we sit down and actually talk to people and kind of just are able to ask them questions about what they do and get like a more in-depth answer on what it's like to actually do the investigations that we watch.
Well, Paranormal Quest, if you're out there, we still would like to have you on.
Yes.
You told me like
we've been trying
7 months ago you'd come on, but we know you guys are busy. So now, between the two interviews, I forgot, we did another really big one that was special to me on the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yes.
And that's actually one that I thought was a really good episode.
Yep.
Because it had like so many like mini stories within the story.
Yes.
And there were a lot of cool things that happened. So let's hear a little bit of that one, because that was probably one of my favorite ones also.
So this, if you've ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle, this is called the Bridgewater Triangle.
The Bridgewater Triangle.
Yes.
And it is spooky as shit, and I have been there. And it's, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just jump into this.
Just go for it. Let's hear it.
The Bridgewater Triangle is an area of about 200 square miles within southeastern Massachusetts. It's in the United States, of course. It's claimed to be a site of alleged paranormal phenomena, ranging from UFOs, poltergeist, orbs, balls of fire, and other spectral phenomena, various Bigfoot-like sightings, giant snakes, and something called a thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbird.
Like the car?
That's what I was thinking. Roughly bounded by the towns of Rehoboth, Freetown,
And now, time for an ad break.
And now, back to our show.
People in the South Shore area looked up in the night sky and spotted a strange sight. A large triangular object that looked like a baseball diamond was seen hovering in the sky. It was reported to be translucent and massive in size. The local naval base received numerous calls inquiring about the object. To this day, no one has any answers as to what it was. The object was reportedly visible for over a half an hour, and at least 26 people were confirmed to have seen it. Story 2. Certain Native American tribes believe in the Thunderbird, a legendary giant condor-like bird.
To me, I love that one because it had so many stories within the story.
Yes. It was very interesting because the stories ranged from...
They weren't just paranormal.
all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
There were like cryptids. There was aliens. There was puckwudgies.
Buckwudgies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't laugh at them because I've been told they'll come get me.
Puckwudgies.
Okay. But there's a lot of paranormal there. And that was I think honestly, if you really think about it, that was the first episode that we ever did that we tied a little bit of true crime into.
Yeah.
Because there was a serial killer in that one.
That's right.
Remember, and that's going to come into play because we have done a couple episodes that were true crime-ish.
Yeah.
You know, we're not really a true crime podcast, but we like to dabble a little bit.
I mean, we originally wanted to do
We did.
true crime because we both very, very into true crime. But I feel like anybody and everybody does true crime. And
There's a
that's
lot
just
of them.
something that like we enjoy to watch together. I wouldn't say enjoy. Maybe.
No, I enjoy it.
I mean,
I do enjoy it.
I do too.
Yeah.
But
I don't feel bad.
I don't know. I think we went the paranormal route because
It was something we shared that we enjoyed.
I mean, we enjoy true crime too. But what I'm trying to say, I think it's a more, I don't know, taboo, I guess, subject still.
Yeah, maybe.
Whereas true crime is anywhere and everywhere you look, you know?
There's a lot of it.
Yeah. So
So a little later on, we ended up talking to another paranormal group.
yes, we did.
And this was East Coast Paranormal. This is Ben and Amber.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I didn't get their names wrong. And They were super rad. I could definitely see us hanging out with these guys.
Yeah, it would be like a couple
They were
friends.
very cool.
Yeah, I know.
Very cool. I haven't talked to them in a while, so Ben, reach out, man. Reach out to me.
Unfortunately, the audio ended up being a little rough, like the connection on Zoom and stuff.
Yeah, it's a podcast, and things
was
don't
rough.
always go perfect, and we didn't get to hear Amber very well.
No, and it would kind of like cut from not being able to hear her, and then he would kind of cut out, but they were talking on the same microphone, and then you could hear her, and I don't know. It was just really weird. But we thoroughly enjoyed having them on, and it was just another group that we were able to hear like how and where they do things
And their experiences.
Yeah.
So let's check out a little clip from them.
And everything, so
It's comfortable.
and use that. Yeah, it's definitely mommy like.
Well, you can go catch ghosts, and on your way home, you can pick up groceries. Apparitions and milk.
Versatile.
Yeah, but with Penhurst, man, I'm gonna Zach Baggins the shit out of that place.
Oh boy, just don't yell at stuff or call it names.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right.
rip my shirt off. I'm gonna tell the things to fight me and all.
There's a
And
lot
probably
of
get possessed.
yeah, oh yeah, down there for sure. I mean, a lot of people. I remember talking about something one time, and it was somebody felt like they were constantly getting stabbed with a needle down there or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Makes me even more excited.
Yeah, I guess like they were leaving on the far side of the building and like started feeling that. So they're like, oh, I'm going to go outside, but like walked through the building. And as soon as they made it out the door was the only time that it stopped.
That was Paranormal Nightmare, wasn't it?
It was Paranormal Nightmare. Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of paranormal groups on our Instagram page, and
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
it was a few months ago when I saw someone post like they investigated Penhurst and they came out with like 3 huge scratches down their arm.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
That doesn't worry you at all? That doesn't worry you at all?
No.
Makes it more interesting.
So do you think you've ever like brought anything home with you?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think that's pretty rare to get an attachment like that.
Mm-hmm.
We would welcome it. As long as it left
like you
our
guys.
kids alone, it didn't harm our kids.
Yep.
We would welcome it.
You guys are great. I like you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty awesome, man.
Yeah,
it brought me back. It brought me back to that interview because I had a lot of I remember going into it thinking, I wonder if because I feel like you always wonder when you go into an interview, are we going to click? Is it going to go well?
Right. Or is it going to be super awkward long silences
and
or like
quickly like it would almost felt like we all already knew each other.
Yeah.
And it made it very enjoyable to do.
Yes. They were super, super great. And we thoroughly enjoyed having them on.
Oh yeah. Now we still kept progressing the show though.
Yes.
And we got to an episode where I think this is where I was like, you know what? I want to put some editing into the show. And we did the Savannah Theater.
Oh, that's on my list.
This was a good episode. And it's not just good because it was like, we did this thing for the first time. It ended up being a really good episode.
It did. That was one of those, like, we had that feeling when we were done. Like, man, that was a good one.
Absolutely. So let's hear a little bit of this one because I think this is another point where our show changed quite a bit.
I think so, too.
Of the stage. The REM pod and millimeter start to go crazy. Micah then says, I haven't played with Ben in a while. Ben, if you're here, can you touch the REM pod for us? And just as fast as he asked, the REM pod started to beep. He asks, were you asking for Micah? And again, the REM pod immediately lights up. Jack and Katrina then come back to join the investigation. Katrina starts to ask Elizabeth, will I be in trouble with Bill if I work here? And it responds, absolutely. Then random numbers start being said through the geoport. 14, 17. Assuming that they would be seat numbers, they start to look at what seats they were in. And as soon as they find seat 17, a voice comes through saying, "Sit there." Micah says, "Sit here?" "Okay," and takes a seat. Then a voice says, "Do it. Sit. Really." This kind of interaction goes on for a while. Call and responses seem never ending. Hearing more curse words, they assume that they are dealing with Bill yet again. Before they end the session, a voice can be heard directing them to the green room. Following the advice, they all then head to the green room. Jack says, "I want the lady in the mirror to turn up." After a moment, Katrina asks, "Did they hurt you?" And the voice of a woman can be heard saying, "Yes." Continuing to get responses in the green room, Micah asks the spirits, "Were there many fires here?" In which a voice says, 12. Then asks, "Who's talking?"
It makes the story so good.
It does. That's when you started adding sound effects and everything, like actual sound effects to the stories. And I think it just added so much more.
It takes it to the storytelling to another level.
I think it makes it like more immersive.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
And I don't know. I think just when I listen to them back, it makes me feel like super Miss Spooky. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Spooky girl.
Yes, well, Miss Spooks.
But the thing is, listeners, like we don't. All right, so when we're recording these, it's just us in a room talking.
Yep.
So we don't hear this as the way you're hearing it. We just hear it as us talking into a microphone, and then all the music and everything comes in later.
So I go from talking like this to reading in my story voice. You know, and it, but like I have to read it.
You gotta stop that, bad girl.
But I have to read it to nothing. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. Because you don't realize it, but I have a certain way that I talk when I podcast. Right, this isn't. Well, I guess right now I'm being a little more relaxed because we're doing a bit more of a relaxed episode.
Yeah.
But even I will come in with I have this certain voice that I use for my stories, and I think I don't know why.
I don't know either. It's just kind of evolved into that, I guess.
Because as you heard all the bleeps in the beginning, it's clearly not how we started.
It is not. We definitely decided to become more family friendly.
Well, I think it just leaves us open for more people to be able to enjoy us.
Yes.
We don't have to put anybody out because people who don't care whether or not we use bad language won't stop listening if we don't.
Right.
But people who don't like it or decide they can't listen to it because maybe their kids will hear it or something, they will.
Yeah.
And we don't want to isolate people like that. Now, a few months after that, we went. This was an anniversary dinner, if I remember correctly.
It was.
And honestly, this was another major turning point for the show. I don't know if we picked up a local crowd, but we decided to go have dinner together at the local haunted legend place.
Yes.
Of Ashley's of Rockledge. And
Ashley's restaurant.
And this, honestly, I thought we would just go have dinner and come home.
Mm-hmm.
And while we didn't have any paranormal experiences, man, we were greeted and we were spoken to by the waitresses. They were excited to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, we walked in and the hostess or server, whoever it was who greeted us at the door and went to go take us to our seat, Stephen asked, "Hey, is this place actually haunted?" And she was like, "What?" And he's like, "Is it actually haunted?" He's like, we're here for an anniversary dinner, but we have a paranormal podcast and we've heard so much about this place. And she was like, "Oh my God, yes." And I guess she went and told people, and we had people coming up and telling us stories that they have had, and it was just super, super cool.
Well, when you go in too, anywhere you go, there's little pieces of documentation throughout the years of this place being haunted.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of local lore stories that go around about things that may or may not have happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And just honestly, I drove past this place 100 times.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it's just yeah, all right, it's cool. But when you actually get out and you walk up to the building, it's very creepy.
It is. It's a very weird and creepy vibe that comes off. And I don't know if it's because of the stories and the lore and the legend. I've been here living in this town since I was 9, and I have heard all the stories, all of them, like my whole life.
You've only been here 10 years?
Oh my God, stop it.
Oh, you're not 19. Oh,
No.
you look amazing.
No. But I don't know. It was a very, very cool experience to go.
It was. And I remember walking up, I kept looking up in the window because I thought somebody was going to stare out at me. And that was one of the stories that we heard.
It sure was.
Of a little ghost girl that likes to sit in the booth right by that window, which I thought was very creepy.
Yes.
So here's a little clip from Ashley's of Rockledge.
Was going to escort her. Never having been located, he remains the primary suspect in the case that has since gone unsolved for almost 85 years. Bonnie Randall, owner and manager of Ashley's restaurant, recounts one of her experiences. Miss Randall recalls, quote, I had a woman come in before we were even open, and I sat her in the booth just around the corner to the left. I got her something to drink, and she told me it was her first time here. And I asked her if she realized it was haunted. The guest did not realize Ashley had a reputation for being haunted. She said, now that you say that, I thought I saw a young girl sitting over there, and she pointed to the booth caddy corner to her. She didn't know it was Ethel Allen, but even repeating it gives me goosebumps. End quote. Miss Randall also recounts instances of things falling, such as glasses, plates, or decorations, and admitted that she has difficulty in discerning which are caused naturally and which have no explanation at all. One of Ashley's patrons, Peyton Thompson, believes there is a spirit within the walls of Ashley's. She just doesn't know what or who it might be. Miss Thompson said, quote, when I walk up the stairs, I always feel something. I think there is a ghost or something. I don't really like going there anymore because it freaks me out. End quote. A ghost hunter named Chad.
So again, shout out to Ashley's of Rockledge.
Yes.
You guys were awesome. And the food was really good too.
Food was amazing. Staff was amazing. So if any of y'all still listen, you said you would. We wrote it down like 9 different times for people. And our server, Alicia, she was great. She told us all kinds of different stories. I mean, it was just an all-around great experience.
Now, we've also had... All right, how do I set this up? We haven't only done haunted locations on this show.
Mm-hmm.
We've also done haunted items on this show.
We have.
And a very famous one that we did that I can't argue that it didn't happen, kind of cursed us because we both had a lot of bad stuff happen to us after the episode came out.
We did, even though we said we were sorry.
And that kind of leads me to this. We have had some funny moments on this show, and I would like to once again offer our apologies to Robert the Doll, and I think maybe we could play our apology for him.
I agree. I think we should apologize again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm already like my back's thrown out, so.
So, Robert, we're sorry.
Robert, buddy, I'm sorry. But let's listen to the original one. They lost all their money, the car broke down.
AC broke
They
down,
had nothing.
like everything.
They ended up with nothing.
Then she had to go to court on top of all that.
Yeah.
Like, ew.
So, I mean, what's that like? And then, I mean, I'm not trying to be this person, but I'm going to say that even since we have started writing this episode, you've had something bad happen to you, and I've had something bad happen to me.
Yes,
and
we have.
It's really weird because the thing that happened to me could have been at any time before this, but didn't happen until right after I wrote the story.
Mm-hmm. Like right after.
Yeah, like immediately.
Yeah.
Crazy. And honestly, so did your thing.
Yep. I wrote it, and I don't know, not even a half a day later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know. So maybe, just maybe.
I'm a numbers, I believe in the numbers, and the numbers are telling me that it may seem like something's happening.
So do you think we should
Yes, I do think we should probably say something.
I do too.
Okay.
Robert, the doll. I, Megan, am very sorry that I did not ask permission to do research on you, to look at pictures of you, and to write about you. I am very sorry. I hope you accept my apology. Sincerely yours, Megan.
I thought you were sincerely mine.
It's Robert the doll. Come on.
Robert, I'm sorry, bud. I, too, am sorry that I did not ask for your permission to write this incredible story about you or look at your magnificent photographs online. But you're a looker, buddy. You are a looker, and your dog is fantastic. And with that being said, I'm even more sorry that we put it out onto every podcast platform known to man for everybody to listen to. Truly, I am. I mean, we are having a giggle, but I am. But I hope a lot of people do listen. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think we hurt anything by doing this. You know, we just wanted to tell your story because we thought it deserved to be told. You are a being of substantial making, and we thought it would be great if everyone knew your story. So, with that being said, I am sorry I didn't ask permission. But Robert, if you're out there, I hope you listen to it, and I hope you like it. Sincerely yours, Steve Meister.
And to our listeners, if you believe in haunted objects.
I forgot how funny that really was.
Oh my God. Oh, that was good to listen to. That was funny.
I was so proud of that little record scratch drop in there. It was, I don't know, it was hilarious. So, I mean, we've had a lot of fun. You know what? Then we're getting close to the end here because we really only wanted to play you the ones that were really stand out to us. I mean, they've all been amazing. Don't get me wrong, and
we've enjoyed all of it.
But there was a time that came where we couldn't put out an episode.
There was.
And we got a hurricane right as we were supposed to put an episode out.
Mm-hmm.
And we did put out a little update. And it was, I don't know what made me think to record this on my phone, but what a bad move.
I know, it was bad.
It was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Let's check this one out, though. This was our update from back in October, the day after my birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday to me.
We just wanted to give y'all an update. We just had a hurricane.
We did. One that we weren't really expecting. And it unfortunately hit right at the time where we would have been working on the next episode. And we didn't really get around to it. We had a lot of hurricane prep to do. And then cleanup. And then just general life, I guess, getting back to, you going back to work, working extra, kids being out of school. So
yes,
it got a little hectic.
So living in Florida, not the greatest.
For the most part, it's definitely not. It has its ups and downs. Winter's not too bad.
Yeah, it kind of threw us off, and our normal record days were full of wind and rain and crazy noises that we didn't want on the podcast.
Pretty scary.
Yes,
pretty scary.
It was.
Yeah, it was very unexpected, weirdly timed hurricane.
Yeah, because they were like, oh yeah, there's a storm coming. It's not going to be that bad.
And then it was bad.
Don't bother to board up your windows and stuff.
And then it was bad.
And it was like, yeah, we should have had to board up for that.
It was scary.
It was.
It was scary.
It was unexpectedly scary.
It was. And then we kind of sailed on from that, though. We came back, and honestly, I felt like we had some amazing episodes. We did Loftus Hall. We did the build-up to Halloween.
Yes. Oh, man, that was so much fun. Halloween month.
Oh, it was so much fun. And then we even had our friend Rick do a segment on our show where we did a two-parter on Disney.
Yes.
Haunted Disney. And I don't know, we've had so many good moments. But the one that I actually want to end this clip show on is not the newest ones we've did. It was the only one that I ever felt emotional doing.
Oh, God, I know which one you're talking about.
And it it was probably the saddest moment that we've ever had on this show, where we both were really feeling it.
Yeah, I don't know if it came across.
It did
on the episode, but I was crying. I was crying while I was reading it. You were getting very choked up.
I was very teared up for that one. It was a rough one because it is a very sad story, but we wanted to do it because the paranormal part of that story that has Gripped
come out
the nation
and been and been found, I guess, surrounding this home is very interesting. It's very intriguing. And
it's just something everybody from this generation felt very connected to for a time.
Yes, very much so.
It was just sad. So let's listen to a portion of that show. And, we did that, in memory of the Watts family.
Yes.
Minus Chris.
Yes, not Chris.
Still a dickhead.
So high from one situation that can affect people all over the globe. What could it have left behind at the family home? Everything from fear to anger, pure animosity. It's hard to think that they didn't stain the walls in the Colorado home. It's doubtful that anybody out there would think Chris didn't get what he deserved, and yet a life sentence just doesn't seem like enough for this man. We couldn't imagine what Shanann's family is going through, not just for losing a daughter, but your grandchildren as well, and our hearts definitely go out to them. And even Miss Atkinson losing a best friend through senseless violence. There's no mystery to this one, Booze Crew. This one undoubtedly happened. There's no question of the past when it comes to the Watts family. The only question there could be here for you is, do you believe that this is enough to leave behind the remnants of the past? Is there a message that they were trying to convey? And will they ever be able to truly rest at peace? And that's the story of the Watts family.
And that was it was such a hard one.
It really was.
We've done so many stories that we don't feel so connected to, I guess, because they happened so long ago.
Yeah.
But this was one that we all watched together kind of as a nation.
Yes, absolutely we did.
And I don't know. I feel like it was the first time I really put my heart into a story.
Mm-hmm.
Where I wanted to get it right. I wanted to be gentle with it. I wanted to convey the emotion behind it,
and respectfully.
Yeah, definitely
do the show in a way that we could get the story across, but still remember the lives that were lost in that family.
Absolutely. And that has pretty much been For the Booze first year.
It has. And what a year it's been.
What a ride.
Woo!
Don't make me put roller coaster sounds in here. But it has. I mean, this is why I wanted to do this clip show, because you go all the way back to that first episode, and it's just us not really knowing what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it, but it was bad.
It was awkward and weird.
The audio quality was terrible.
Oh, God.
The stories weren't very good, but we had fun.
Yeah, we did.
And that first one has kind of brought us to where we are now. And I think 2023 is going to be the best year for this show.
I do too. I am very much looking forward to the next year.
Oh, man. This year.
Well, technically not this year.
Maybe we'll put this out a day early.
Ooh.
So it will be
on New Year's
Day. Have to buckle down and really get it done tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really glad you decided to do the show with me.
I am too. I am. This has been our perpetual date night because we don't really get any of those, and we don't have a lot of time to spend together. No. And this is
what we do.
It's our little baby we've created together.
It is.
Besides our other little babies that we've created together.
Yeah. I forgot we had those. But we want to thank you, listeners. You guys, honestly, we go on and on about having guests come on, but you guys really are what make this show so great. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a show.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely.
So that one was for you guys. So thank you so much for this amazing year and helping us, get farther and farther. And hopefully we can keep growing. And maybe one day we could do these shows live for you guys, or come and meet you people and go ghost hunting with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. We could do all kinds of crazy stuff.
We could, and we really have big ideas and dreams and aspirations around this show. And you guys are a huge, huge, huge part of that. And we just thank you all
Absolutely
for listening.
And we're not going away anytime soon. We are going to be doing this for a long time. Yeah, Megan, a long time.
Long time.
Hey, we agreed to 3.
I know.
We're going to do more. We're going to be a 10-year podcast, I promise. So, I mean, this ends it. That was 2022. And next week we will be coming back with a brand new episode. And I believe we're going to be doing the LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans.
I'm so excited for that one.
Me too. It's a really fun one, actually, and it's New Orleans. What's not fun to talk about people getting drunk and puking in the streets?
Oh,
So, baby,
gross.
Where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram at forthebooze_podcast and on Facebook at forthebooze.
They can also find us on Twitter at forthebooze and over on YouTube if you care to watch it in off screen, I guess, For the Booze. And don't forget, we want to make 2023 the year of the listener story.
Yes.
So if you have a listener story, no matter how big or small, no matter how long or short, it doesn't matter. Send them over to forthebooze12@gmail.com. We want to read them.
Or listen if you want to send in an audio clip.
Any way you'd like to send it in, we would like to get it. It could be a video, and I'll play it on here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
You can say your name. You can be anonymous. It's all totally up to you.
We're all into consent, so however you'd like it. And show suggestions. I mean, don't be afraid. If there's a place that you would like us to do and tell a story on, send it in. We want to do what you guys want. So
yes, and we just got a listener, a suggestion from the podcast that you were just
that's
on.
Right. We will be doing that one soon.
Yes.
So we will definitely be doing that one. And don't forget, guys, I know I ask every week, but 5 stars, rate and review. You don't think it helps, but it really does. And we really need those to move up. We're so happy you guys listen. But if you'd like to support the show, please 5 stars, rate and review everywhere that you can think of. And that would be a big help.
It would. And
you know what? Before we leave, I know we're about to leave.
Okay.
But I do want to do one thing before we go.
Okay.
Is it real?
Is For the Booze real?
Man.
Are we real?
That's a really tough question.
It is.
On this subject.
I agree.
But I think, I think I'm going to have to say, of course it's real. Of course it's real.
Okay, I know I'm just playing around, but I had to get it in there. So I guess this is it for 2022. So we're going to be rolling out into 2023.
All right. We will see y'all in the next one. And thank you again, everyone, for listening.
Absolutely. Bye.